Hello friends, in my previous video I had told you about the format of this T20 World Cup 2021. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it. I will give the link of that video in the description. And now I will talk about the teams in Group 1 and Group 2, their strengths and weaknesses. I will be giving my brief analysis of both the groups, the teams in both the groups, and on the basis of my analysis, I will be giving you my prediction about the four semi-finalist teams in this World Cup, which four teams will reach the semi-finals. So first of all, let's start with Group 1. In Group 1, the four teams which are already qualified are England, Australia, South Africa, and West Indies. And the two teams which I am assuming will join these four teams, this I have discussed in my previous video, that these two teams, according to me, will be Sri Lanka, and the other team will be either Bangladesh or Scotland. Although it should be Bangladesh, but the Scotland just gave them an upset defeat in the qualifier, one of their qualifier matches. So we will have to see who reaches there at the number 6 spot. So these will be most probably the teams in the group 1. And in the group 1, I feel whichever team is there, either Bangladesh or Scotland, they won't pose much of a threat to other teams. And maybe I am not assuming that they will reach semi-finals. And the same goes for Sri Lanka. These teams are good, but not really good enough to reach the semi-finals. Bangladesh was in good form in their home country when they defeated New Zealand and Australia, but both these teams, New Zealand and Australia, were not at their full strength at that time. And Bangladesh was playing at their home ground, so maybe that's why they were able to beat them. But in this tournament, I don't think they will reach semi-finals. So the from the remaining four teams, I think between England, Australia, South Africa, and West Indies, from these four teams, there will be two teams which will reach the semi-finals. Now, let's see about the England. I think England has got a good side, a good T20 side. They are also the ODI world champions, and they will be missing two of their important players, Ben Stokes and Jofra Archer. So that will put them slightly on the back foot. But still, they will be at their full strength. They will have all their other players. But one more drawback for them will be the form of their captain, Ian Morgan. He hasn't done anything in 2021 with the bat. And also some of their players like Josh Butler and Johnny Bairstow, they didn't play the IPL in UAE this time. So maybe they will be a bit out of practice. So that's why I feel that England, although they have a good chance, but you can't say that they will certainly reach the semi-finals or they will top the table. But still, overall, I would say that England has a good chance of reaching the semi-finals. And then, if talking about Australia, I think Australia may struggle in these conditions because if we see that in the recent series in Bangladesh, they lost to Bangladesh by 4-1. And even though they were missing some of their important players in that series, but still you expect them to give in at least give an equal fight to Bangladesh, and that also shows that Australia's bench strength is not strong. So if some of their main players are missing or out of form, that means they don't have a good enough bench strength to beat other strong countries. And another drawback, another factor which may go against Australia is the form of David Warner. David Warner is their important batsman and he has not been in good form in UAE, and the same goes for Aaron Finch. Aaron Finch also hasn't been in good form in 2021. Then Steve Smith also didn't get much of a chance in the second phase of IPL, so he may also be out of practice. So their most important batsman right now looks like Glenn Maxwell. Glenn Maxwell was in red hot form, so he looks good. And other than that, Australia's bowling is good. But still, overall, I feel that their team may struggle to reach the semi-finals. I will give them just an average chance or below average chance. Then talking about South Africa and West Indies team together, I will just take you to the recent result between these two teams. South Africa played a T20 series in West Indies recently, And in that series, both the teams were at their full strength. West Indies and South Africa both had the same squad, the same playing 11 which they will be having this time in the World Cup. And in that series, surprisingly, South Africa won 3-2. I was following that series and I was a bit surprised because West Indies had a lot of big names like Andre Russell, Kieran Pollard, and all of their players, Devon Bravo, but still they lost in their home conditions. And South Africa didn't have Faf du Plessis, AB de Villiers. They had a good bowling attack, but their young batsmen, the talented batsmen, which which are not really big names in the game right now, but they still performed decently. And I feel that South Africa has a good bowling attack and their batting, even though it's not explosive, but still it's safe and a decent bowling, a decent batting attack. And in the UAE conditions, you don't really need explosive batting. You need steady batting. Even a score of 160, 170 may be good to win the matches. So I feel that South Africa in this tournament can be the surprise package. They can be the dark horse. So between South Africa and West Indies, I feel that South Africa has got slight edge. So my pick overall from Group 1 will be that two teams which will qualify for semi-finals will be England and South Africa. These are the two teams according to me from Group 1. And now talking about Group 2. In Group 2, the teams are India, Pakistan, New Zealand, Afghanistan, and I'm assuming that Ireland and Oman will join them in the Super 6 stage according to the qualifier results. I had already discussed about this in my previous video of the prediction about qualifiers. Now, from these six teams, I think first of all, let's talk about New Zealand because New Zealand, Pakistan, and India, these three team looks more likely to reach the semi-finals. So, which out of them will be left out? I feel that New Zealand will struggle here because of the conditions of UAE, and overall, I think it won't suit New Zealand, and they will be playing other subcontinent teams. New Zealand will be playing other subcontinent teams like India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and there will be Ireland and Oman also. So I feel that New Zealand may also have an upset defeat against one of these teams from Afghanistan or Ireland or Oman. So I feel that from this group, India and Pakistan will be the two teams which will reach semi-finals and not New Zealand. And even Afghanistan and Ireland, Oman, I think they can give in a few surprises. But still, to reach the semi-finals, you will have to give more than a few surprises. You will have to win at least three matches out of their five matches, or even four. So overall, from these two groups, Group 1 and Group 2, what I feel is that the four semi-finalist teams will be England and South Africa from Group 1 and India and Pakistan from Group 2. This is my prediction about the T20 World Cup 2021, and I won't be giving my prediction about the winner of this cup right now. I will give it before the semi-finals in the middle of the tournament after seeing the performances of teams. So friends, let's see how this tournament goes if my guess proves correct this time. Okay friends.